Hello and welcome back. My name's Anuki. I'm not the one that's fighting, I'm just doing the talking. I wasn't able to convince our generals today to negotiate peacefully, so they will destroy each other murderously in battle to the death in Age of Empires 4. It's a role swap. The Viper is now a leader for the Blue Mongols, getting their Uvu down and their town center in a snuggly spot against the berries and a forest. Draped in red to the west and not quite dead, it's Zerton. They were defeated as the Mongols, but how will they fare as France? The map is Hill and Dale. There's some lovely deer right next to the town center. And Hill and Dale, it's quite a defensible map. And, well, that doesn't sound too good for the Mongols who can't build walls, but, you know, don't have to build walls. I've seen games on Hill and Dale where people do not close off their base. And right down the center of Hill and Dale is all kinds of goodies, boars, gold, marketplaces, sacred sites, more marketplaces, and more gold, and relics, and sacred sites. And it really is quite simple. If you do decide to turtle up and close off these sections to your base, the enemy could just situate themselves outside of your walls, keep you locked in, whilst they have access to all of the goodies. And look how tight that spot is because of this forested area. And the last entrance, guarded by 3 trees, into the French base. As for the Mongols, their forested area disappointingly does not close off their base as much. The stone, even worse spot for it. There's this elevated area, which almost looks good for defending, but pretty much never gets used. It's kind of standard on the Hill and Dale map. And small stealth forest areas just outside as well. Triple gold at the back, to the east and west corners. This would be a great spot for the step redoubt. I think it fits just in there, and has access to mining all of the gold without moving. The step redoubt increases the amount of gold that you can collect. Now, as is tradition before the core of the game starts, and whilst the players build up, in case you have not been following, this is the first Age of Empires 4 tournament hosted by the EGC, the Elite Gaming Channel. And if you would like to check out more information, then discover their Discord link in this video's description on YouTube. These videos are not monetized for your viewing pleasure. I do this because I'm flipping loving the game and I want to show it off and get people back into RDS again. And if you're thinking about trying Age of Empires 4, then allow me to extend my hand to you and be the voice of encouragement. Of course, today we are watching the best of the best on a game that's been out less than a month. Even these players have a lot to learn, so do not be discouraged. Part of the fun thing about RTS games is how much there is to learn and how much trying new tactics, new strategies. And a personal favorite pastime of mine is to simply fight friends and watch the replays of our battles. Let's return to the match at hand. The Viper's Khan is on an early scouting mission. They will bother some villagers on the gold with their toy bow, whilst being chased by a wolf. The School of Cavalry is spotted. They won't venture too far into the town center's range, but they have seen where that woodline and gold is, which could be valuable information later on. Similarly, Zerton is scouting as well. The School of Cavalry is already up, whilst the Deer Stones only really just began its construction. Now, I am slightly worried for the Viper here because of the location of this stone being pretty much the main entrance to the base. But then again, they were never going to have walls anyway as the Mongols, so at least they have the cliff edges acting as some kind of wall. A Royal Knight popping out, and an archery range has been constructed. It's going to be the Royal Knights and archers into the feudal age that we've seen quite a lot of. And I just got an announcement from the community manager saying that the 3 most played civilizations are, of course, French, the English, and the Mongols. In addition, over 5 million matches played so far. Pretty incredible numbers. We got some outposts going down for the Viper to help them defend against the Royal Knights, which is absolutely going to be coming for the gold. 4 spearmen at hand, just waiting, standing guard. I really find it cool seeing just spearmen standing outside of buildings. Like, they actually have a freaking job. They have a purpose. It's not just a game, it's real life. It's immersive. Bloody wolves! It's going to be the least of Zerton's problems, though. 4 spearmen will easily fend off a single Royal Knight. And I liked the little small micro there from the Viper. They sent 2 of the spearmen to actually attack, whilst the other 2 went and defended the villagers, just in case that Royal Knight decided to evade around the spearmen. Little things like that I find fascinating. For those of you wondering how the Uvu works, because I was recently asked this question, I'll try and explain. The Uvu harvests stone without any workers, and using that stone you can double produce units or get better versions of standard upgrades. Now, the stone cost is different depending on what you're getting. For the most part, though, it follows a pattern. Spearmen cost a total of 80 resources, so you can build an additional spearman for 80 stone. Horsemen total 120 resources, so 120 stone can get you an extra horseman. Same for the upgrades. Ooh, the Khan initiating the movement speed for the horsemen to try and chase down those Royal Knights, or at least get them out of the base. I don't think they're going to kill them. Nowhere near enough. So we were talking about upgrades with the Uvu. If you move a Gur into the Uvu's range, you can get access to all kinds of economic upgrades, and if it costs 100 wood and 100 gold to get that upgrade, you can get the enhanced version of that upgrade for an additional 200 stone. But not everything follows that pattern. Villagers, for example, cost 50 food, but if you double produce villagers, it's 150 stone, which is their nice block on the spearmen and the wolves teaming up together. It is there, you know, for balance reasons, although there is one kind of odd one which I'm not so sure about, which is siege equipment. They all follow the pattern except for the trebuchet, which for some reason costs 100 more stone than its base resources. And I do believe that the Viper would really like to get these Royal Knights outside of the base, especially with those archers appearing. This is looking like a strong early initiation for Zerton. The position of that Uvu, with it just being so far forward, is an easy target. The Khan has perished and will not be able to lend their assistance in the defense for the Viper. The tower is operational, but the Knights don't have too much to fear. They have excellent ranged armor. There is at least an archery range down next to the town center for the Viper. And I think archers is really the only way that they're going to be able to break out of this situation. The spears will work against the horses, but Zerton's archers will quickly kill any of the spearmen that approach. We might very well see this early Uvu burnt to a crisp. And you can hear the citizens are panicking. Like, it's not full-scale panic, but it's appropriate panic. And I love listening to the sounds in this game, just to be able to take a breath in and listen to the ambience. It's quite nice. They've done a great job with the sound design. So the barracks packed up and moved closer to the deer stones. No reason to be out there so far forward. might as well be behind the single outpost, which is currently on the defense. We had a spearman formation on the northern entrance, but the Royal Knights just ride straight around because they're not interested in playing with spears. They're interested in playing with lancers. Right into the villagers. The Knights regroup with the archers. And poor Viper's military there is just not sufficient enough to be able to attack anything that Zerton is bringing. The Khan is back in action. But they don't have too many forces to rally up. So far, we're largely dependent on the villagers inside of the town center to lend additional damage hands. There's a few spearmen inside of the outpost too. Nevertheless, Zerton is not going to give up. Now that they know the outpost doesn't have anyone inside of it, they can fling some fire upon it. But they don't want to stick around just taking free damage from the archers. So, minor success for the Viper. And Zerton is heading quite far back. They are most likely just retreating, giving themselves some time to focus on their own economy. Leaving your military on a fence can result in mistakes and unnecessary losses that end up putting you more behind. And Zerton's perhaps saying, yeah, I've done well on stunting my opponent's growth, but it's important not to neglect my own. And really, you don't need too long to be able to just do the things that you need to do. The Uvu is reconstructed, and more archers are out this time round for the Viper. It might be enough to make a stand. And they don't have the assistance of the town center. But when the Royal Knights enter, those archers gotta fall back. The Viper still in a predicament. But until Zerton decides to bring a battering ram or something bigger, they're kind of stuck just trying to kill some of the units that Viper defends with. The Viper also has a second town center down here next to the gold, and a blacksmith. Getting some ranged armor upgrades would be fantastic to be able to survive against Zerton's archers. I really like this ledge up here. I'd love to see some archers situated on top and firing down, though it's not ideal because those archers would be trapped up there should anyone advance from the other side. We have more Royal Knights coming up here, and I think a tower just giving some advanced warning would be fantastic. The villagers will clamber into the town center. They're okay, they're fine. Seems like Viper, though, wants to go on the offensive, but here comes some palisade walls. Should be able to get them down in time. The Khan will scout. They'll see that's going on. They'll hurt the villager a little, but he shouldn't be too worried. The 4 archers here, though, that would be more of a concern. This tiny area, narrow entranceway is walled off, and again we have that nice upper ledge that units could be firing from, and there's no way round that palisade wall, so it would work much better in France's favor to take advantage of that high ground. But again, in these level of games, players aren't really gonna stick around and be shot from the high ground. There needs to be more chaos, that it's hard to discern how effective things on the high ground are, and the poor archers that were heading initially to the west and then coming back find their road back is blocked by Royal Knights, so they all lose their life. No matter though, because the Viper has plenty more forces, and they did get that tower up right where I suggested. Awesome! The blacksmith packing up. Is it heading over to the Uvu? At the moment, there's only one special upgrade available, which not only allows for building battering rams and siege towers, but mangonels, springouts, and trebuchets as well. But you would need the Castle Age to build those extras. And the Steppe Redoubt will bring them into the Castle Age, just being constructed here, and will most likely fit in between all of the gold mines there. The Viper has rebuilt fairly quickly, recovering from that early aggression. The Blacksmith seems to be having difficulties setting up, so that's just going to return to a position which it can set up. I believe Zerton's army here is known to the Viper. Currently just chilling out at the moment. And am I thinking of the right game? Was it Battle for Middle-earth 2, where idle squads made camps and fires and all kinds of idle animations going on? Please let me know, either comment or tell me on Discord. Both armies roughly 30 people strong, only 10 spearmen in that huddle. Not enough really. They'll be the first ones to get shot down by the archers before the Royal Knights even decide to royal fight. As you can see, Zerton will just back them away before they run into the spears, striking a match to the outpost. The knights try again, but so do the spearmen. Zerton's not getting those knights through. The Viper's done a good job with just the few spearmen that they have, even being able to chase away and fire a few more arrows into Zerton's archers. Will they want to move further out though? Perhaps emboldened by the sheep following the Khan. And we see this quite a bit. The Khan's just like roaming around, they'll pick up some sheep and you'll just have these random sheep in the army composition. A few villagers not handing into the steppe there. That will lose out on 5 gold per hand in. Oh, and the blacksmith is going to try and set up again. In the Castle Age, they could also get the improved military academy, where unit production times could be reduced by 35% instead of the ordinary 25% upgrade that is available to everyone. Bad timing though, because the Uvu is depleted and they only have 60 stone remaining. So the Uvu is going to have to move, and it seems like the only stone nearby is just a bit further up. Royal Knights again going to be trying to do a raid. You can see the vision is excellent on this outpost. Also pointing out a marketplace is down for the Viper. The spears move in, but take a look at the back. The archers are gonna move around to intercept, and they might be able to get some good damage off here. They might be archers, but they still do some damage, especially when the Khan is giving them some attack speed increase. The Royal Knights will have a try at the archers, but they don't want to be caught like that, surrounded by spears. That was not a good-looking death. Much dirt is kicking up in the plains throughout the center of the map, and no one's here to find a good deal at the market. The Khan is taking a ton of archer fire. Thankfully, though, they are much stronger now. The Viper is returning fire. They would quite like to fight if they see an opportunity. The spears push past their own archers to protect them from the cavalry. The veteran archers raining hell back on the French archers. The spears keep within range of their own archers to protect them, chasing away the royal cavalry, and the two have had enough of each other for now. Word on the street, though. There's a French outpost being constructed. The Khan will lead their troops to destroy it. Will France return to protect it? Will the Royal Knights even get a clean charge into the archers? They will look for an attempt. Zerton's archers are a bit far away. Nice split from Zerton to get a better surround. The spearmen were less concerned this time about protecting the archers. The Khan bolsters the morale of the archers. They become impassioned to fire faster. The French have got a new system going on. The front archers fire first, the rear archers fire second. The technique seems to be superior to the Mongols. Zerton with a sound tactical retreat before returning to the battle at the outpost for a valorous victory. The next step is to march onwards to the outskirts of the Vipers' encampment on the hill. But what is Zerton to do? Will they just charge straight in and try to weaken the Vipers' military further? It seems that way. The Viper still has plenty of fight in them. The spears thwarting the Royal Knights. They will fight in combat with the archers both just firing over the top. It's the Viper spearmen, though, that are weak to arrow fire. With the spear defeated in combat, the Royal Knights advance towards the archers. However, with very little siege equipment here, all they can hope to do is claim more lives. The Viper is not submitting. That is not the Mongol way. So long as they have a decent grouping of units, they can keep reinforcing it. It's a battle of attrition. Zerton's forces will deplete. The Viper knows this. They won't back down. They won't give up, admonishing Zerton's very presence. When will this incursion end? Zerton is still bringing units in, but they have to travel far and wide across the land. Many Mongols have lost their life, but it seems it was wise to place their faith in the Viper's command. Zerton losing ground, the order to retreat initiated. And the Viper will be very pleased with their performance here. That was quite a great battle. Is that one for the Age of Empires 4 history books? Which is a series I'm putting together, by the way, of all the great battles that occur. If you feel there was an epic battle in any of the games that were covered here on the Ironcast channel, then let us know in the comments, and we'll be making a cool, almost documentary-like episode covering some of the epic games, but rather focused around the battle. As France sulks away, they will instead focus their intention to conquering the middle of the map, knowing that the Viper's resources will eventually dry out and they'll have to attack. And if France holds the middle and fortifies all of the important resources, the Viper's gonna end up having to reach or overextend to more dangerous territory. And if France holds the middle of the map and creates defensive fortifications, the Mongols are going to have a huge challenge ahead. The Viper held together a great defense, but make no mistake, they were clinging on to life there. How are they going to fare when they have to fight under Zerton's army under a keep? Another Royal Knight raid will attempt to come round and claim some villages. This time round, though, even with that outpost there, they don't see it coming. One of the more successful night raids entering through that northern valley. The Viper's been misled. Their forces currently outside of their camp. It's gonna take some time for them to reach those poor villagers. You see, they scatter, they run to the Viper's forces, as it is only them that can really offer enough protection. An excellent raid for Zerton. A minimal of 10 villagers lost there and a trader making their way back through the Royal Knights. They get sliced hard, but as far as their capacity to operate as a trader, they've never felt better. They can still fully function like it never happened. The Viper, interesting that they want to cut these Royal Knights off. The spears will deter them from attacking. But whilst the Viper is up here, what is going on elsewhere? We saw that there were some mangonels in the Viper's composition down south. Now, those are going to be pretty important, and they should be well defended. It's concerning to see only a few shield bearers guarding them. However, so long as they only face archers, the mangonels and men-at-arms will be extremely effective. Royal Knights, though, they'll want to quickly head in this direction, so they don't have too long to play around here. Is it worth it to take this outpost out, or is there a bigger picture we're not seeing? The Viper has a small force to the south and behind the mangonels. Could these mangonels be bait? It seems unlikely. A few Royal Knights charge in, but the torches do significant damage. The mangonels aren't backing away. They will instead fire at the archers. It's a good double hit. One mangonel is destroyed. The Royal Knights warded away from incurring any further damage. A siege workshop is constructed here, and it feels very much like the Viper is readying an offensive. Zerton has begun capturing sacred sites, and the Viper will have to fight under keeps. Even if Zerton doesn't hold the sacred sites, it's about forcing the Viper to come out and play. And the Viper does seem ready, but at the same time, they have to be on alert from these Royal Knight rushers just constantly moving in from the north entrance of the base. And that's exactly where the traders are too. This is probably a pivotal moment for the Viper. Trade would be great, but Zerton is able to ambush the traders. The Viper won't be able to rely on trade to push or drive them into the late game. The Viper does decapture the sacred site in the south. Midgard Keep is being attacked by a trebuchet flinging rocks into its brickwork. Zerton will take a chance with a small force to destroy the mangonels. The Viper reacts. Zerton will get a lot of fire down, but no destruction. While Zerton continues to rush with knights against the workers in the back. There's also two trebuchets now. The Viper must guard their siege equipment to find victory here. It might be quite a slow burn now. The two trebuchets is great, but villagers will be repairing that keep in the south. Ranged units will struggle. Extremely ineffective against buildings. The Viper just looking around, trying to update their map information. Knowledge is power. Quite a lot of villagers repairing on the front end of the keep. The Viper will charge forward with infantry to try and take them out, but they just hop inside the keep. But at least they're not repairing it right now. The Viper, showing their mental sharpness, will topple the keep. And I have not seen too much from Zerton in a while. Are they lacking in production? Have they spread their kingdom too far and too wide? Everything here seems like it will be lost. The monastery, the siege workshops, the mill. Knights just rallied through the Viper's army, trying to get into the big group of knights, which are going to be raiding to the south. The Uvu is down there as well. There doesn't seem to be any stopping this Mongol force. The Viper advances even further with the siege equipment ready to strike. We do have a spring out here, but it's all alone. An inefficient use of resources. There's another cavalry raid on the workers, and there's something to consider here, though. Replacing villagers is not going to be difficult for the Viper to do. They are doing great at food, and like the legendary defense the Viper pulled earlier on, Zerton is gonna have to kill a lot of villagers in one fell swoop to create an economic collapse, one that would have a domino effect strong enough to hurt the Viper's military production. kill 10 villagers in a raid. The Viper just needs to spend 500 food in 70 seconds producing from 3 town centers to replace them. Now they're charging through the front door up to Zerton's new keep in process. Let's see what Zerton can bring. The ranged attack speed is triggered by the Khan. We have many crossbows and Royal Knights advancing, but the numbers looks a little low compared to what the Viper has brought, especially if the Mangonels get some good hits in. The Royal Knights will ride past and try and torch them. The 2 trebuchets are also there firing on the keep. The villagers will most likely be repairing that too. Springelds at the back here, but they're not doing anything too useful. In fact, the Viper's gonna back out a little bit. They've got some Mangadai hitting the Springelds. That's not too effective. Zerton at least has a terrain advantage. Whether they can and will take advantage of this floor space of area denial and create a corridor of death is another matter. The Viper at the moment is happy to go through this extremely narrow space. The Viper wants the trebuchets to hit the keep first, and elsewhere, Mangadai chasing down Royal Knights. This is fantastic. The Knights were only strong because they could outmaneuver the opposition. They can't outrun the Mangadai. So now raiding is shut down. France still had some white flags left. They have been defeated. Victory for the Mongols, led by General the Viper. A hard-fought battle, and thank you to both players displaying their skill and expertise for our enjoyment. May they battle again in the future. This does mean, though, that the Viper goes through to the quarterfinals of the EGC 20K tournament. There's more games to come. For now, though, my name's Anuki, and just as a reminder, if you would like to get involved in some Age of Empires 4 productions, do check out the Ironcast Discord. For now, though, I will retreat and find another couple of commanders to duke it out.